meeting of, just hang on a minute, Finlay. Could you please try not to use the chat if possible? I'm going between screens here, so it's quite difficult to keep track of everything. So yeah.
It's just noting about the recording, that's all.
Yeah, that's fine, Finlay, but it's just if we could just there we go. As I say, I've got some screens open here, so if I can just get myself sorted here. It's not easy when you've just got the one. Right, okay, so good afternoon everyone, and thank you very much for joining us. We have a new member with us today. Councillor Mark Finlater has been newly appointed to the Community Planning Partnership Board. So welcome, Mark. And if you have any questions or want to follow up on anything, if you could contact Finlay, who will make sure that you're up to speed with where we are and how we're going to go forward. So I realise there'll be maybe some gaps in some of the conversations today, but happy to help to try and fill those in afterwards if that's necessary. But you're welcome, Mark, and I hope you enjoy the meeting. So Finlay, we had some apologies, please. Could you just advise where the apologies from, please?
Yeah, no bother. So we've got apologies from Jacqueline Lynn, Sports Scotland, Kate Bond, Aberdeenshire Council, Kate Stephen, Police Scotland, Lee Jolly, Aberdeenshire Health and Social Care Partnership, Matt Lochley, Scottish Enterprise, Paul Finch, Nest Trans. However, I've got Claudia Sturrock as substitute, Sarah Rochester, Aberdeenshire Council.
That's fine. Thank you very much indeed. And as Finlay has, I think, popped up in the chat, this meeting will be hybrid. Well, it is hybrid, so there'll be some people online and some people are present in Woodhill House in room 5. So we will be using the hybrid format this afternoon. So can I ask members, please, if you've any declaration of interests? If you pop your hand up, I'll bring you in. No declarations of interest based on the papers. That's fine. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm fine. Papers have gone again. Here we go. So thank you very much indeed. So the next item is public sector equality duty, and I would ask that people consider the duty to be mindful of all the obligations that sit with us in terms of that legislation, and do we agree the public sector equality duty is set out? Can we agree that, please? That's agreed. We'll turn then to the minutes of the Community Planning Partnership Board on the 17th of September. They are attached to your pack. Can I ask, please, in the first instance, that that is a correct record of the meeting? I don't see any hands. So can we agree then and approve that note of the meeting? Oh, sorry, Rebecca.
Yes, thank you. And sorry, not an issue with the note of the meeting. I just thought I'd maybe take a chance to introduce myself. I think my apologies were noted at the last meeting in the minutes, but this is the first board I'm joining as the co-place director for Aberdeenshire for Scottish Government alongside Anne Aitken. So looking forward to working with you all, and yeah, I'll be aiming to join these going forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and apologies for that. Should have perhaps done that right up front, but you're most welcome, and I hope you enjoy the meeting. We look forward to working with you. So that minute is approved. Thank you very much. And again, item 4.1 is the action sheet, which is again attached to your agenda. So can I have any comments or questions, please, on the action sheet? Any updates from officers at all that you want to share with the group, with the board?
Good afternoon, Chair. Apologies, Jason.
Afternoon, Jason.
Just in terms of the action with regard to Mind Your Mind, myself and Finley will reach out to the team again and offer again that comms support for the initiative, because I'm conscious that we haven't caught up with them yet, and that one's getting a little bit old. So we'll reach out again.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Jason. That's very helpful. Any other comments or questions on the action sheet? Everybody content? Okay, thank you very much indeed. So we move then to the next item on the agenda is the Community Planning Partnership Board and Executive, and there's a forward planner attached, and that is for noting. Again, Jason, do you want to make any comment on that as Chair of the Executive?
No, it's all scheduled, and I think we're all happy with that at the exec.
Okay, thank you very much. Any members have any comments or quick queries? No, so that again is for noting, so that is duly noted. Thank you very much. Item 6 is reducing poverty, and this is the local outcome improvement plan, the 6-monthly report, which is again attached to your papers. A very thorough report as always, and pleased to welcome Amanda Rose, the lead for that particular LOIP. So Amanda, can I hand over to you, please?
Thank you, Chair. As you say, the report is providing an update on recent activity through the Tackling Poverty and Inequalities Partnership, who lead on the delivery of the Reducing Poverty LOIP priority. I would draw attention in the update to 3.6, paragraph 3.6, which summarises Challenge Poverty Week, and in particular the Voices into Action event, which was led through our employability partnership. This was very positively received, and there are a range of actions now being progressed, and a number of senior leaders and officers took part in that, and that was very welcomed. Significant progress has been made with the design and approval of the Information and Advice Services strategy, and I hope that will be transformative to the way in which we support households and families experiencing financial insecurity. The strategy is attached as Appendix 2, and I'm hoping the board will endorse the strategy as it is, recognising that it is seeking to enhance accessibility and equity to services through place-based community provided services, as well as starting to look at the use of digital to help empower people to have more control of their concerns and the ability to address them. The strategy has been developed to recognise increasing complexity of financial insecurity for many families, and will further embed and enhance the range of specialist pathways that help ensure support is targeted effectively. The report also provides an update on the embedding of local voices into the design and delivery of plans and services. The inclusion of those with lived experience is becoming increasingly business as usual for many of our partners, and a number of the reports on today's agenda will be reinforcing the benefits of that as a process. The board has previously interacted with the Lived Experience Forum on a generally ad hoc basis, and it's proposed to formalise an approach for the board to work with an expert panel on a more regular basis to deep dive into topics that come through consideration of reports that you have at these meetings. If agreed, it is proposed to consider stigma and use of professional language as one of the first topics for the panel. This is something that has come through the board a number of times, and we hear the impact of stigma being raised frequently during discussions, and it's something that young people in particular highlight as something that we need to address and to remove. Beyond that, I'm happy to take comments and questions, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed, Amanda, for your report, and again, very comprehensive report before us. I'd also make the point that there's an integrated impact assessment attached to the report. So if I could just ask members to consider whether or not you have appropriately considered that as we reach the point of this looking at the recommendations. So again, just for some consideration before we get to that point. Okay, Dr. Tomlinson, John, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I was interested in the paragraph, page 14, where you talk about data-informed priorities, and appreciate that's probably at an early stage. But I'm just wondering how much this links across also into other partners and the data that they hold, so that it's a system data that we're working on. Just be interested to hear a bit more about that, please.
Yeah. Through you, Chair, so we are developing this supported by the Data and analytics team within the council. We have a data hub, and we have started working with a range of partners to look at how we can pull together both open source data, council service-led data, but also the data of our partners. So we've met with our public health colleagues already. We've met with health and social care colleagues. We were meeting with our Police Scotland colleagues, although I'm not sure whether that's taken place. So we're looking at meeting with a range of partners to try and pull the information together in a safe way, so DPIAs, and making sure it's anonymised and that sort of thing, but looking to have it as a partnership dashboard as opposed to simply what we can either factor in open source or factor through the council.
Let's come back, John.
Yeah, just if I could, just briefly to follow up. So that's really good news to hear. And am I right in assuming that's a lot of, or primarily quantitative data? Will there also be qualitative data from the lived experience side of things?
So we will continue to engage with our families and individuals who are part of those forums, whether that's our young people's forums or our wider forums, to provide that mix of data, experience, and then of course the professional piece as well.
Thank you very much.
If you don't mind, folks who've got your hands up, I'm going to take Jason in, who might want to comment on the approach being taken.
Oh, that was very kind of you, Chair. So I was going to make a comment in terms of the group that Jim, I think, chairs in terms of the NEFA, the North East Population Health Alliance. So there's a data-led short life working group. Apologies, Jim, if I'm stealing your thunder around that, but it's hopefully they're meeting this afternoon, and that will be a really positive step forward. But what I was going to mention as well was the importance of lived experience really came out in the delivering place-based community planning workshop that we had. So I'll cover that in a little bit more detail in terms of the development of that, but just the importance of that, which I'm sure you're all aware of.
Thank you very much for that, and nice segue into Jim. You got a name check, Chief Executive, please.
I'll try and follow up. Thanks. So 3 points. I think, as Jason said, there is that short life working group which is looking at public service data across the board, not just from a population health point of view, but looking about how we can collaborate more broadly. So if that can benefit and help here, that would be sort of great. It is really one of the first areas I wanted to focus on, which is one I've raised previously in a positive way, that the report very effectively covers the progress of activity. And I'm always mindful about how to take us to the so what question in terms of outcomes. Clearly our context and circumstances economically continue to change around us, and we don't want to just chase our tails all the time. But I'm mindful and thoughtful in terms of, could we at some stage, sort of like one of our next meetings, have a look at that so what question in terms of the effectiveness, in terms of the prosecution of the strategy here as well. So to what extent can we correlate activity with an outcome in terms of reduction or mitigation of poverty in some shape or form? And I think that's a difficult question sometimes to reconcile, but it's surely one that we need to try to grapple with, so we understand and know the effectiveness we're having here as well. So I just wonder whether that's something, taking what Jason has said and Amanda's good paper here, we could put together to try to actually get into that so what question some more, if that's okay, Chair. My second, sorry.
I was just going to say, I think the performance side of things and the evidence and data gathering, I think is something that Executive are working on. Is that right, Jason?
Yeah, so exactly that. In terms of, we've had discussions at the workshop and in terms of that equity of provision might not mean equal for everyone. It's focusing on key areas and key aspects, and to reduce that poverty bit. So, and that those KPIs in terms of recording the impact and evidence the impact that we have is vitally important.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Do you want to come back, please?
Yeah, and the second one was just so really pleased to see the extension of the focus in terms of sort of working with people with experience here in the paper, and again mindful in terms of the scale of demand there could be on what could be sort of a finite group of people, and just interested in terms of how resilient or robust that feels as a mechanism and approach. You know, I think it's something not wanting the ability of many different public services to engage with people with experience to be sort of restrained by capacity in that respect as well. So just interested in terms of, is there anything more we can do to propagate out more of that experience coming into more services in terms of engagement? Thank you.
Just before Amanda comes in, Dr. Paranjyothi Shantini and I were on a panel being interviewed by the panels, if you like, during Climate Challenge Week. So Poverty Challenge Week, so they're quite robust. But Amanda can advise further. But I think it's something that I certainly took back from that that experience that we had with the panels members themselves. And I think it would be something that certainly within the council and other organisations can determine how best to benefit from those panels and the lived experience. But I think each directorate in the council, for example, would benefit from having access to those people who are absolutely living the experience throughout the right across Aberdeenshire. So Amanda, do you want to just give us some assurances around the capacity and resource that there might be there? But certainly I've certainly mentioned it to directors, Jim, that a lived experience panel per directorate would be really helpful. Amanda.
Thanks, Chair. I mean, I think as you're saying, it's a fairly robust panel. We have got a significantly large network now because we've got a mix of an online panel where people come in and out, and we've then got those individuals who are prepared to be part of those more detailed discussions. We have got families and individuals who will just get involved with very particular topics. So there is a good resilience in it. One of the positive approaches is building that understanding and confidence around what lived experience panels can be and how other services and other partners can build those. We're aware that we have a number of panels. They're not all just linked into the one that we kind of manage through Tackling Poverty and Inequalities. We support, for example, the Poverty Alliances panels. We've got panels that come through some of our specialist programmes, including, for example, the HELP programme. And we've got panels that have been in existence for a long time through a range of services, such as our Tenants Participation, which is an incredibly strong panel, and don't just want to talk about housing related things as well. So I think there is that robustness there. I think it would be about working out how we perhaps share and cascade some of that information to make sure that we are making, we are not asking the same things and they're not seeing a difference being made. But I'm fairly confident it's robust and we can support that approach that we're outlining.
Chief Exec, do you want to come back?
Very happy, thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Alison, please.
Hi, Alison Stewart from NESCAN Hub. Thank you for a great report. Amanda, I really do believe in lived experience and taking on community voices. I just was wondering about 3.16 on page 16 about the pilot digital offer and really what that entailed and how that went, alongside this whole concept of empowering through use of AI to reduce stigma and improve engagement, because obviously there's a lot of worry and there's been discussion in the papers just this week about how it can make things worse in relation to mental health and stuff like that. So I'd just like some questions about that. I'd also like just to make one comment in relation to, obviously when talking about stigma and poverty, then one way around food is obviously looking at in relation to food waste as opposed to need, and that being a way of doing it, I'm sure you're aware. But also I noticed that in all the reports there wasn't any real consideration of the climate change or the carbon emissions within those reports, and I just wondered to what extent it was taken in relation to sustainability aspects of travel of staff users, the AI burden, because we all know about the massive burden that takes on our energy, and you know the carbon emissions saved through dealing with reduction of fuel use, and to what extent that has been taken into consideration. Thank you.
Amanda, did you capture that?
I did through you, Chair, and I'm probably not able to answer a lot of it at the moment because we're actually just at that very early stages of the strategy in terms of we're about to go out and commission the various pieces of work, and we are working with some of our colleagues around that that digital offer. Some of our CAB colleagues have got a particular interest in the digital offer, and we're working with them to design what that might look like. So it's very early doors at the moment, so I can't really answer a lot, but absolutely happy to bring that back. In terms of that climate change piece, I think that recognition, apart from trying to support our families with more efficient energy, active travel and that sort of thing, we are really quite concerned about how people can access our services, and we are very aware that online telephone won't be for everyone, that sometimes that face-to-face is exactly what's needed, and that's one of the reasons we have gone down the idea of a 6-area basis for the community-based, which will include access, providing services within smaller locations, so that ability to pop up, because we're very aware for some families being able to get to just 1 or 2 locations across Aberdeenshire is just not going to be there. We're also clear we don't want our welfare advice workers spending all their time in cars going to people. We'd much rather they were spending their time working with the families. So not explicit, but I absolutely take that point on, and we will factor that in as we report back in future.
Great,
Okay,
thanks,
Alison.
Amanda. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Claudia.
Thank you, Chair. I've got a question regarding 3.4, where it talks about the starter packs for vulnerable residents. And the report makes reference to the importance of connectivity and people being connected. It's just seeking some clarification whether this also includes kind of transport aspects in terms of like accessibility, like travel training or travel support for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I will have to actually go back and...
Please, you don't have to come through me, just go direct.
I will go back and have a conversation with my housing colleagues. They specifically spoke about digital connectivity, but I'm more than happy to explore whether that also includes connectivity in terms of access, supporting access to public transport or providing signposting to how that happens. But the main thrust of the application was around that, helping people get set up in those first tenancies and understanding that digital connectivity is really important, because that's how you often access services. But I'm more than happy to take that question back.
Okay, Claudia. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paranjoti. Chantini, please.
Thank you. So my comment really is about 3.3 as well, so around the dashboard. So appreciate, some of the discussion that's already happened, address some of the questions I had, but I just wanted to say really welcome the join up around the data piece, and I think there's a lot of potential for using that dashboard then to support with some of the logic modeling bits. So really then understanding what impact the activities in the LOIP can have. And so through our public health team that are in with the executive, just to offer, to support with some of that and actually share some of the learning that we've had from other places in trying to do this as well. So so just to say, really welcome the what's in the paper, but also the offer to help with some of the next steps around it.
Thank you.
Okay, that's very helpful, Shantini. Thank you very much indeed for that. I don't see any other indications. Sorry, Andy. Yep.
Thank you. My question's around the action plan on page 34 and the continue to support the direct cash first partnership, which has real advantages with helping people do more and then reduce that stigma. But we've got in the resource implications, one of them we're talking about could be external funding. So I'm just wanting reassurances that we're going down every avenue for external funding and then for bids for next year, so we're able to support this. We're going to have them in a timely manner so we can continue.
That provision of chasing after external funding is something that we are particularly focused on, and we've been successful as a partnership. So working whether it's with our NHS colleagues or others, we have been successful in being able to access UK shared prosperity funding, Scottish Government funding. We're one of 8 partnerships around that cash first approach. So we will continue to do that. We recognise that that cash first, choice first approach is really important. And certainly as we review the priorities for the budget in 26-27, if the right thing to do is to focus that around that choice first approach, if that's where we feel as a partnership the priority has to be, then that's where we will put it. But I can assure we will continue to seek all external funding possible to enhance what we're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't see any other indications at this point, so can we go to the recommendations, please? And are you content to agree those recommendations? To acknowledge and comment, which we have done, endorse the information and advice services strategy, so please be mindful that that's what we're agreeing to, and agree to engage with an expert panel and the first topic for engagement. So are we all content to agree that, please? It's agreed. Okay, Amanda, thank you very much indeed for your report and for the detail in terms of the responses that you've provided. There will be that follow-up with for Claudia's question as well, so many thanks for that. Just for members' information, I haven't forgotten about item 5. So I thought I would take item 5 with item just before item 9, so that Jason was covering all the bases at the same time. So my apologies, Jason, I hadn't forgotten about you. I had actually sent you a wee note, but clearly it hasn't landed. But anyway, that's fine. So item 7 on our agenda then is Aberdeenshire's Children and Young People Service Plan Annual Report for 24-25. Again, this is a report that comes to us on a regular basis, well, for an annual update, and we've been asked to consider and comment on the plan for year 2, 24-25. So I would like to welcome, is Mr. Dick with us?
He's just coming in just now. Apologies,
okay,
Chair.
thank you. Yeah, I couldn't see him, so I was just wondering if he was around. So Mr. Dick, the interim head of Children's Services, will join us to present the plan to the board. Connectivity sometimes is a little bit slow. You managed to make contact, Finlay?
I have, but unfortunately he's not read it at the moment. So if we could potentially go to another item.
Okay, we'll move then to item 8.
Oh, sorry, Andrew's just coming in just now. Apologies for the tardiness.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Dick, are you with us now? Hello, Andrew.
Good afternoon. Sorry for keeping you.
No, good afternoon. We were just about to move on, but then we realised you were just joining us. So you're most welcome. I think this is the first time you've been to Community Planning Partnership Board to present your report. So you're most welcome. And I have introduced the item. So there's a full report before us, which members will have read. So please, over to you, Andy, and you can present your report. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm very pleased to present to you today the annual report for year 2 of the 2023-26 Children and Young People's Services Plan, covering the period April 24 to March 25. And as I'm sure you're aware, that we're required under the Children and Young People Scotland Act 2014 to submit this annual report to Scottish Government as part of our 3-year planning cycle. And so alongside that, it's here for your consideration and comment. The report highlights the multi-agency progress across Aberdeenshire with a strong focus on prevention and early intervention. Oversight of the plan is delegated to the GIRFIC strategic group, who've reviewed and commented on the report, and the report's also been considered by the Education and Children's Services Committee. The annual report includes both an overview and an overview report and more detailed thematic reports covering our 5 priority areas: mental health, the promise, disabilities and additional support needs, youth services and whole family wellbeing. And alongside that are cross-cutting themes such as rights and participation, learning and development, and GIRFIC self-evaluation. A significant area of development over the reporting period has been in making our consultation with young people more coordinated. An example of that would be where the Tackling Poverty and Inequalities Youth Rights Forum has enabled broader engagement on the Young Rights Ambassadors Initiative through their Over to You youth event. And the Youth Forum supported a temperature check on how well we're upholding children and young people's rights in Aberdeenshire. I think that just shows how that joined up working, just an example of that in terms of joined up working to show how we're helping to be more respectful of young people's time and making use of that efficiently, while also strengthening the quality of our engagement. So overall, I think the annual report clearly demonstrates a wide range of interventions, supports and opportunities aimed at improving wellbeing outcomes for children and young people across the various contexts. I think it's really evident that partnership working remains central to our approach and absolutely underpins everything that we do, just to make sure that children, young people and families get the right support in the right place at the right time. So just to advise that I was due to be joined today by Nicola Kenyon, who's our Service Development Officer for GIRFIC, who's been pivotal in pulling together the annual report and the ongoing support around about that. Unfortunately, Nicola's unwell, and so you only have me today. I'll do my absolute best to answer all of your questions, but if there is any more kind of granular information that Nicola might have been better placed to advise on, I'll be really happy to take away any questions that I can't quite answer that Nicola might have been able to, and absolutely come back to you with responses to that. But otherwise, welcome any questions and comments on the report, and thank you for the time.
I think you're on mute.
Beg your pardon, sorry about that. I was just saying thank you very much, Andrew, for the report and for the comprehensive overview that you've given, and for all the work that's been done to get to this point. So now, colleagues, it's open to yourselves to ask any questions and or comment on what's before you. Chief Executive, Jim, please.
Thanks, Chair. Andrew, really welcome the report, very clear and comprehensive. Just a couple of queries from me, sort of constructively. One is sort of taking everything into the round. Are there any areas of aspiration, ambition that you think we need to focus on from a CPP point of view, particularly that we can get in behind our respective colleagues and teams to be able to enhance the forward look of activity and effect in terms of our partnership working? My second question is a particular focus on a promise, maybe with the same lens for that particular sort of important group of young people and their families and carers, and also from a preventative point of view. Anything more you would counsel us on that we need to do more and above than our existing really good growing programme of work here to be able to make best progress with the promise? Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Jim, for the questions. I think it's a topical question in terms of ongoing areas of focus, because there's a significant amount of work ongoing, as I'm sure you'll be aware at the moment, about thinking about the fact that we are coming towards the end of our 2023 to 26 Children's Services Plan, and beginning to think about our plan going forwards for 26 to 29. I think what we're identifying within that is that the areas that we currently have focus on in our current plan continue to very much be the key themes that we would look to continue to focus on. Not seeing at the current time that there would be a huge amount of differentiation from those areas, but I think what we're then identifying within those is that opportunity to refine some of the work that takes place within those key priorities that we have identified. I think the couple of key areas that I would draw attention to are, first of all, in relation to the thematic group, which is focusing on our children and our young people being safe and listened to in their communities. A huge area of focus within that required around about the agenda in terms of child sexual abuse and exploitation, and work that needs to go forward in terms of our collective investment in that. We had a really useful input recently from the National Public Protection Leadership Group from colleagues in Manchester who shared their experiences around that, and I think that's just helped focus our thinking around the work that's required in relation to that. I think the other kind of I mean, all of these areas are significant, but I think a growing theme emerging in terms of the supports that are required for us to take forward in terms of children's mental health, and within that increased understanding of our need to focus on neurodiversity as part of that as well, and think about the services and the supports that we provide in relation to that. So I think that's probably, hopefully answers the first part of your question. Jim, I think in terms of the promise, as you noted, there's significant focus within our GARFEC arrangements on the promise and our support to our care experienced young people. I think what is very much emerging in terms of the promise is that there's significant work underway, significant change that has taken place within local authorities and partner organisations, but there's still a long way to go in relation to that. I think that the overall kind of theme of reports that have come out in relation to the promises that we're halfway through the timescale towards the promise being published and the promise being kept, but we're not halfway in terms of meeting our requirements in terms of ensuring that the promise is kept by 2030. And so I think there is that sustained focus, investment required, and that's not just in terms of finance, but in terms of time and energy as well, in order to make sure that we drive forward our ambition around about the promise, so that we can keep the promise locally and nationally by 2030.
Jim, would you like to come back? Oh. Chief Exec, would you like to come back in?
Hi there, apologies. The board fell out.
Oh, right. Thank you
So
for that.
apologies for that.
Jim, did you hear Andrew's response?
I got 2/3 of the promise piece, and I'm sure it'd be excellent and perfect, and I'll play catch up subsequently. So thank you.
Okay, are you content with the rest of the response?
Very much, absolutely. It'd be helpful.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Amanda, please.
Thank you. Just say it's a report really.
We're not hearing you very well, Amanda.
It'd help if I took the really positive report. Good to see the progress being made, and I think for the first time we're seeing that the child poverty action plan, that's a statutory report plan we have to do, which is underpins reducing poverty for the LOIP, is going to be in the same cycle in terms of the years that it covers as a children's services plan. So we've linked in with Nicola to ensure that we're sharing joint strategic needs assessments, that we're going to share our engagement and that sort of thing. So there'll be hopefully a real synergy between the two plans as we go forward. They need to be separate, but we'll be able to kind of dovetail them together.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, and we'll maybe come back to that in a moment. Andrew, did you want to say anything in response?
And I think just to echo that, really, I think that has been a theme that has come up in terms of our work in terms of wider children's services planning, and then our work in relation to the promise that the plans have not always aligned in terms of the time, the years and the time frames. And so I think it's really welcome when those can be aligned as far as possible, and very much supports that work being taken forward kind of collectively rather than individually in silos.
That's great. Thank you very much. Okay, Amanda. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Shantini, please.
Thank you, and thank you for a really comprehensive report, and I particularly welcome the inclusion of the indicators in the report as well. And a number of those seem to be going in the right direction, but I just wondered to what extent you've mapped the indicators to the actions in the plan. And so that's one question. And I wonder whether or not there's been any consideration given to in the next iteration of plan, maybe setting some targets around what the aspiration would be in terms of the indicators?
Thank you. I think that's a useful next step. I'm not aware that there has been that mapping exercise in terms of the indicators against the actions. That's absolutely something I can take back and ensure that that's something that we look at going forwards. And I think that, again, that's very useful feedback. I think individually in our thematic groups and the wider cross-cutting groups, there is very much that work around setting targets and looking at how the data underpins our work and shows the impact that the work is having, because that's the fundamental of it all. There's no point in any of the work happening if it's not having a positive impact on our children, young people, families, carers, and communities. So there's that. There's that individual work, I think, within the individual thematic groups. But I think you make a useful point there in terms of perhaps how do we draw that together in terms of the wider children's services plan. And again, I can take that back as very useful. Very useful input in terms of thinking about how we move our next iteration of our plan forward. So thank you.
Thanks for that, Andrew. I just wonder if that's something you might want to speak to Jason as chair of the executive about, because that's clearly in terms of performance and bringing everything together, looking at data collectively and all of that. So I just wonder if that's something that colleagues in the executive might welcome. Andrew, if you would make that connection. Jason, is that something that you'd be keen to do?
Yeah, absolutely. In the holistic round, it would be make complete sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be very happy with that as well. So I'd be happy to connect off table with you, Jason, regarding that.
I think we'll hear about the workshops and the plan for future, but it's very much about bringing all these things together. As Amanda has said, the tackling poverty and inequalities, reducing child poverty, the work that you're doing, Andrew, and some of the other items on the agenda today, I think all come together. And it'd be really helpful if Jason, as chair of the executive and executive colleagues, just had that piece all in one place. That would be really, really helpful.
Yes.
So thank you for that. Nicola, please.
Thank you very much, Andrew. That's a great report. Thank you for that. Really interesting. I think actually Shatini's actually said a lot of what I was going to say. Interested in the data that lies behind the indicators, and just being able to see that holistically would be really, really, really interesting. And the cross-cutting nature of it with particular places, SIMD areas, and so on. But also, I was wondering if there's also qualitative data that lies behind it as well, particularly from the SHINE survey. Just seeing that figure there, about 39% of S1 to 6 expressing low mood is horrible to read. But it's just understanding that a bit more. But it was just whether that kind of qualitative narrative is there as well.
Yes, absolutely. I think the work that the mental health thematic group have taken forward has been hugely beneficial in terms of the engagement that they've sorry, I'm getting an echo there. I think the work that group have taken forward in terms of the level of engagement that they have taken forward has been hugely beneficial. I think the surveys that you referenced there that they've undertaken have been really wide-reaching, and that's produced a real richness of data. But I think what we're always very, very conscious of, as you note there, is the wider narrative that goes alongside the data. I think certainly, in reference to what wasn't mentioned previously around about the promise, there's a huge agenda there in relation to using data, but alongside using those stories of change to help us think about where we're currently at, and not looking at facts and figures in isolation. But nonetheless, the figure that you highlight there is significant and very much focuses our thinking in terms of, clearly significant numbers of our young people are telling us there's difficulties going on for them, and then I think that gives that focus for that wider engagement about, as you say, in terms of what wider information can we gather about what would then be helpful in meeting the needs that are clearly identified from those figures.
Are you okay with that, Nicola?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yep.
That's really
Okay.
helpful.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. And Dr. Tomlinson, John, please.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's really wanted to follow up and support Amanda's point, and that's been raised by others, that seeing the reports today, there's really clarity about how it's more whole system, and early intervention and prevention. If that's starting to come out as a theme across the different reports, it'd be good to be able to see that as we develop, sort of joining up the effort. Just wanted a specific question to Andrew, which was, I had an opportunity to visit child development teams that NHS Grampian have, and just wanted to be assured that they're able to link into this and contribute to it fully.
Yes, absolutely. I think first of all, just in terms of what you're referencing there in terms of the early intervention and prevention, I think what we're seeing across the board in terms of all of the work is the absolute fundamental importance of that early intervention and prevention approach across the different themes of work, and the benefits around that in terms of each of those areas. So yes, absolutely, support that. We have, in terms of the child development teams, we'll have a wide range of participation from health colleagues in each of the groups and the representation that takes place within that, and they would absolutely link in with our child development teams and other health colleagues as well, to make sure that they're all connected to the work of the groups. I think what's really key in terms of the groups as well is that while there is designated membership and representation from the different agencies within the groups, each of the groups will absolutely go wider when necessary, as well, to make sure that if there's a particular area that they're working on where there's key colleagues who are not directly represented within the groups, that we involve them. I think the report references the fact that we would often have subgroups of our thematic groups and our cross-cutting groups, and there would be opportunities within there where relevant and appropriate to bring in colleagues like that, to make sure we get their contributions to particular pieces of work that are going on, that then feed back into to the wider work of the thematic groups, and are sometimes just short life and only need to take place for a short period of time to undertake a particular specific piece of work, but as I say, report back into to the groups in terms of the wider work that goes on.
Thank you. And it is very much so that they can influence and also bring their issues to the table and sort them out collectively. So that's welcome to hear. Thank you.
Absolutely, there's been an ethos around that as well, about representatives of the group having that responsibility to bring the wider collective issues of their services to the groups as well, so they can represent those issues and make sure that those are surfaced and addressed.
NHS have got a duty. Shantini, do you want to make comment on that? They've got a duty to produce a children's services plan as well. So, I mean, I would imagine collaboration is absolutely at the heart of it. Shantini?
So that's right. We have a statutory duty to work with the local authority in producing the children's services plan. Yep. And I think from what's being described, the mechanisms we've got to do that are working. And so I know I've got an agenda item later on the agenda talking about the DPH annual report, and also we've got some suggestions then about how we can enhance the way we work into that process.
Yeah, I think absolutely, and I think the more we can collaborate and streamline and ease out duplication, I think would be, we have to be integrated in all of this, and I think it's really a key way forward. So thank you for that all. I don't see any other indications. Does anyone else have any last comment on this item? No. So I have introduced the recommendation. So can we agree that recommendation, please? And that would be agreed. Andrew, thank you very much indeed for coming along today to speak to your report, a really important report, and one which has been received well. I think obviously that collaboration and integration going forward, with being mindful of delivering on the promise, but I think the offer that that was made right at the start by the Chief Executive. What can this board do to enhance support, or to do something in support of the delivery of that plan, where you might find there are some difficulties. So please, if you could come back at any time if there are any issues. But Jason, as chair of the executive, would be a very useful contact for you in terms of how that goes forward. So and clearly the Director of Public Health is here, and would be very helpful also in terms of that wider agenda. And of course, Amanda's on hand to bring all of that together. So with regard to dealing with the reducing poverty, child's poverty. So Andrew, thank you very much indeed, and thank you to the team for all the work that they've done and do to ensure that our children and young people are as safe as they can be through your supporting mechanism. So thank you very much indeed, Andrew.
I'll pass that on. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. Colleagues, that takes us then to item 8, which is the Aberdeenshire Learning Community Partnership Community Learning and Development Plan 2024-27. Again, this is the annual update, and we're being recommended to note the progress made by the Learning Community Partnership in strengthening partnership working and strategic delivery. And we've been asked to endorse the continued focus on community capacity building, employability and skills as key priorities. So I'm pleased to welcome Dominique Carlisle-Kitts to the board, and just hand over to you, Dominique, to present your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and you've taken the first few lines of my speech here. So yes, thank you very much. It's as has been said, it's an update on the CLD, the Aberdeenshire Learning Community Partnership Plan. And as you know, we have to produce a plan every 3 years, and we come to you each year and give you a flavour of the work that we've been doing. And this plan, just to remind colleagues around the table, this plan is a partnership plan, so it's not the Community Learning and Development Service. So it's what partners bring to the table and what partners can do collectively. And we moved away from having a plan last year that was reporting on everybody's individual pieces of work. So we're very much focused only on pieces of work that people do in partnership, because we recognise that all the partners have their own individual plans and priorities and areas that they need to deliver on. So it's a much more streamlined plan because of that. However, it doesn't take away from the fact that there's a lot of work happening in partnership across Aberdeenshire. So over the last year, the strategic partnership has been progressing with the actions following our visit from HMIE colleagues in December. And the key focus from that visit was for us to strengthen governance. And we've been working hard to do that. And they submitted a report at the end of last year, and we had a meeting with them in February, and they're very happy with our progress. And I'm pleased to say that they're not coming back to visit us. So we've progressed well in that, and not least in becoming more established in terms of the community planning partnership reporting structure. So we're now more prominent in that. So we've worked hard to progress governance, and part of that has been to put in place an evaluation structure so that all the work that happens at partnership level can be captured and evaluated. So it's been a busy time. We've had a couple of development days with the strategic group and all the partners coming together, and it's fair to say that partnership working is strong and building and growing, and we've got some of the local partnerships who've got up to 25 regular attenders. So it feels that whilst at the time it might have felt a bit nervous moving to smaller number of partnerships, certainly it seems to be working very well that we've got the 6, and partners don't feel quite so stretched, I think, with the move to 6. Also, just a little bit of an update nationally. You'll know that there was the Learning for All, the independent review of CLD was published, and there has now been a strategic leadership group set up, and they're beginning to progress some of those recommendations. And it was really quite a fundamental document that has a lot of recommendations in terms of community learning and development. So there's been some progress in relation to the work on that, and we are keeping a close eye on that, not least because myself myself as Chair of CLD Manager Scotland, I get an honorary place on that strategic group. So we are keeping an eye on what the progress of those groups, and therefore how it will impact on the partnership. At this stage, there isn't anything direct that's going to happen in terms of the partnership, but it's very good to be involved with that and to be seeing some things progress. For example, there's been some work progressed around ESOL, and there's been a desk-based study done by COSLA, and there's also been 6 small thematic reviews done by HMIE colleagues. There's one, the sixth one of which is happening this week. So we expect to hear a report early next year in terms of what that will say in relation to ESOL. So again, that may influence some of the work that we do at a partnership level. But it's certainly been interesting to be involved in that, and anything that will affect our partnership, I will be able to at least feed that in because of the position that I've got there. So locally, as I say, the partnership have been working hard to strengthen the work that we've been doing. And it was interesting to hear what colleagues had said about mental health, because some of the work that we've been doing has been around been some proactive work around men's mental health. So there's been a lot of work across the Shire done locally, and it's really exciting that the partnerships are strengthening. And I'm actually really quite excited. I'm going to introduce Nicola, and she's going to give you a bit more of an example. We asked for a bit of a case study, so she's going to give you a flavour of some of the work that's been happening in one of the local learning community partnerships.
Thanks, Dominique. So it's Geary Local Learning Community Partnership. So they hosted an event in September this year, and that saw 48 partners attending, which was great. And within that number was various community organisations also supporting the event. So during that time, 6 partners delivered presentations on examples of good partnership working, and there were facilitated discussions that followed that. So at the event, all partners agreed to take forward actions, and since then, a number of subgroups have been set up to progress work under the identified themes locally. So an evaluation was carried out for the event, including asking about outcomes and next steps, and the comments included that some had reported that they had set up scheduled meetings as a result of that day. Most of them said that it was still maybe a wee bit too early for concrete outcomes, but they were looking at joint funding applications and a couple of new collaborative initiatives. So it was really about putting, I guess, the foundations in, putting strong groundwork for future partnership working. So since then, the subgroups have been set up, and progress so far have included a volunteering subgroup who are collating all the volunteering opportunities available in the area. A community group event is being planned to mirror this event and support these groups to access the support they need. And an employability group also, who now feed into the Aberdeenshire Local Employability Partnership. So following the work, 4 new partners have joined the Geary Local Learning Community Partnership, and there are regularly 17 members in attendance at these meetings, which just shows the good level of engagement. So happy to share that one example with you, just to try and bring alive some of the work that we've been doing. So thank you very much, Chair. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much indeed. Can I just ask before I open to members, are you working with Ava in terms of the volunteering aspect? I know Dan's on the call today, but have you got that link? Yes.
Yes, we have. Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Oh, Dan, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just want to come in and say that yes, there is links with CLD, and we're acting as hosts for, in particular, some of the work that's going on in Mar. So we're supporting supporting the delivery of some of these really interesting pieces of work. So yes, in short.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you very much indeed. Colleagues, do you have any questions at all on this report? Andy, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll come back to what was the main point of action around the governance route, knowing that governance routes at times can be a bit of a stumbling block to progress because they are quite clunky and that they take so long to go through. So do we now actually have a governance route that allows proper flow of information, robust monitoring and assurance without hindering progress, so we can actually ensure that things are progressing in a timely manner?
Thank you. Yes, we do. The way it's working is that the LLCPs, as I say, they've got a planning and monitoring framework in place where they are clear about what they're going to deliver and what they're going to capture, and they feed that through to us. So we don't. They drive us, the strategic group, so it's very clear, and they call on us when we are needed. So it feels very. We support them as opposed to them. And we provide whatever resources needed, and we've got regular meetings with them. They come to our meetings or we go to theirs. So it's very proactive, and it's clear that from what colleagues have said round the table, that when we come together, it's about what resource do they need additionally to be able to deliver. So it feels like it's working very well. And Nicola, I don't know whether you want to come in on that.
No, I think it would just echo what you say. I think we've got the governance there in place. HMIE was certainly happy with it, and I think the evaluation and monitoring at the LLCP gives that assurance, whilst allowing local flexibility as well and local priorities to kind of be surfaced, and also to identify that emerging need as well. And that's where we're seeing, as Dominique said, things like ESOL, and keeping an eye on that in terms of demand.
And just in terms of your point about it not being too onerous, we only ask that of the partnerships annually, whilst the template allows them to monitor work as they're going along. We only ask to gather that on an annual basis, so it's not too onerous of them and doesn't hinder that flow and delivery.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Rob, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Really good report. And this is, I suppose, a wider comment. There's a lot of talk about groups and subgroups, and it seems when we look at everything, there's a lot. Is there something for the executive to maybe look at in terms of mapping of these groups and where we can potentially streamline a little bit?
Yes.
Yes. The tricky thing is that the way it works is we often have a lot of partners that come together, and they maybe don't have an interest in all the areas that are being covered. So the setting up of subgroups is so that partners can work on a theme that fits best with their area of delivery. And we've not, as a strategic partnership, stipulated that. That's come at a local level where it's felt best for efficient use. But yes, we would obviously be keeping an eye on that and making sure that that is not too onerous for people. Nicola, I'm not sure if there's anything else you would want to come in on that.
Yeah, just that they're supposed to be, as you say, they've kind of evolved, and it really should be short, sharp projects with an end date to it. So I think that's actually a good point, to kind of make sure that they don't just linger on forevermore if they're not needed.
I think just to follow on from Rob's point, sorry, Rob, I'll let you back in. But we heard from Andrew as well and Children's Services about the number of subgroups and subgroups, and I think there's something in there that we really need to try and have a look at. John, if you don't mind, can I bring Jason in, please?
Struggling to get off mute. No, it's one of the things that was raised at the workshop as well, in terms of some of the systems mapping and ecosystems mapping and the group mapping as well, just in terms of the massive value in that and seeing barriers and duplication. The key bit is the creation of that and the maintenance of it as well, which is very resource intensive, but it's definitely something that cropped up in the workshops.
Thank you for that. Rob, do you want to come back, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And it's no criticism of MD around the table, and everything that's going on is being done for absolutely the right reason. So it's just that exploration of where there is overlap, where there's potential duplication, where there's potential pressures being put on the few that are members of many of the groups, essentially. So we can maybe take that away as an executive, as saying Jason's just touched on in terms of the mapping element, and maybe there's work to be done with area managers as well, who will have an understanding of a lot of what is going on within their areas and with the wider group, just to map that out and really see what that looks like across the board.
Thank you for that. John, I'm going to take you in next. Sorry, Alison, but I think John's having trouble keeping his hand up. So John, please.
Yes, yes. I was advised just here that I could bang the table, but I just putting it up. It's interesting. Yeah, it seems to be time limited. It's gone again. So let me use the time. So it's a very welcome report, as with all the others. And I'm not sure if this question actually could be picked up in the next item more appropriately. But I suppose what I'm seeing is we talked about the shared data at an early stage. And so there's a number of key or common themes here, which is about what are the gaps for the population in Aberdeenshire? You know, what's the equity that we all are going to try and work towards, etc. So it's welcome in this paper, I think page 83, the focus on outcomes will be strengthened. And I suppose it's that piece which is maybe to get in the next item, but sort of raising it here as a question, how much the executive will be able to join the dots for us here, and also therefore encourage us. So for me, it's the health and social care plans to make sure that we dovetail our plans into what are common themes here, whether it's poverty, mental health, prevention, etc. Hope that wasn't a bit garbled, but there's something, I think, which feels like it's taking us to the next stage of getting a more holistic community plan and process together for Aberdeenshire. So it's probably something more for Jason. I apologise, but I thought I'd raise it here on the back of this paper because it's another example of taking us forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. I'm going to take Alison in, and then, but as I'm doing that, I'm going to hand over to Andy. I have to step out for a moment, so Andy will continue as vice chair to manage the meeting. I think we're going to take a 10-minute break after this item, but Andy, I'm obliged if I can hand over to you. Thank you.
Hi, Dominique. Thank you for your report. Alison Stewart here from NESCAN Hub. Just a question around about community capacity, because obviously it's very much at the heart of what we do. And I'm just wondering to what extent you have linked in with my staff in relation to our membership. We've got over 400 members across city and shire. And really, that whole volunteering piece also is something that our members are really keen to have more volunteers as well, or volunteer within. So I think it'd be really helpful to see if we can help. If there hasn't been that kind of mapping taking place, then perhaps we can offer to provide some data in relation to that, just to, yeah, support. And also it's going to come on later, but I sensed in quite a few of the reports this whole thing about mental health and eco-anxiety. It comes out in later reports and hasn't really been dealt with in relation to youth in any kind of huge tactical kind of action orientated way. So I do think we're rolling out quite a lot of climate literacy and eco-anxiety and health is going to be one of our focuses coming up. So it will be useful, I think, to work across the piece in relation to this, as I see it as a common theme coming out through quite a few of the papers.
Thank you, and it's always great to have an offer of working together. So yeah, I'll happily pick up on that with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for that offer of support, Alison. Is there any further questions, either online or in the room? No, not seeing any hands. So are we all happy to go to the recommendations, noting the progress made by the partnership and endorse the continued focus on the community capacity building and employability and skills as key priorities? All happy with that? As Anne said, we're looking to take a 10-minute break now. I have got 3:10 on my watch, so if we can all be back in the room for 20 past, and then we will continue with what will be item 5 and 9, Jason, because I think they're pretty much linked, so you should be able to do them together with a bit of luck. So see you all at 3:20.